to do, I can't even tell how the day passes. Like, where is the day going? So,
Same
Nishant,
here.
we go live?
We are.
Live. Namaste, Uttara ji.
Namaskar.
Welcome to Learning Experience on Fridays. And, this is the conversation series that we began with our education fraternity, with our teachers, school leaders who have been part of a community that we created in 2019 with the launch of the Rex Karamveer Global Education Change Champion Fellowship and Awards. And your school, the Sri Ram Millennium schools, have been part of our community. The Sri Ram school has been part of our community, and we got schools from around the country. About 100 schools applied, and we shortlisted about 70 based on the wonderful, wonderful work that they are doing to make the world a better place, and also teaching students not just learning and books and school curriculum, but also giving them life skills and giving back to the society. So a very, very warm welcome and namaste once again to you. We are honored
Namaste
to
too.
have you here.
Namaste so much. Namaste to you, Itu. And I am more honored, I think, because I have really been following your journey. I've known Jerry for many, many years. And, it's been wonderful to see the great work you all are doing. And you are binding us together. I think, educationists across the country and the world who are doing these things, when they know that, there's a community out there, it just makes you feel very, very, good about it and makes you feel supported. So thank you to you people.
Yeah, and on the occasion of the awards, the beautiful stories that came out, the learnings that came out, and the models that came out, and so much of knowledge dissemination, so much of learning, and each one of the schools were learning from each other, and I so many of them have replicated the models that the others are using to teach more skills to
So,
students.
this word collaboration, this word has
Right.
now become like a new mantra because of, I think, online, it has just given us so much more scope to collaborate. But honestly, I'm telling you, right from the beginning, I have always been a believer that unless you share, unless you, want to uh, let others know what is your learning and learn from others. I think, my dad used to say that, the intelligent people learn from other people's mistakes and the fools learn from their own. So I think
Yes.
it's wonderful if we can collaborate and share our experiences and learn from each other.
Yeah. And to that, I'd like to add, not only collaboration has been the word for us, and also in these times has been co-creating and interconnected. So
Hmm.
the co-creation and interconnectedness is so palpable at this time, that how connected we are. And anywhere, if one of the links is also missing, see what happens to the world. See how awry we go, and how important to keep connected and keep learning.
Absolutely. You're spot on that one.
Thank you so much. But coming back to you, because learning experience for us is also about the school leader per se. We want to know more about Uttaraji, and we want to know more about your childhood, your growing up years, school times, college times, because um, I think those are those years where they leave an indelible mark on our minds, teachers, and so I want to know all about your school time, your growing up time. Take me through the memory lane and let me know let all of us and the audience here know about your growing up years in school and college days.
Okay, that's a wonderful question. And I think I haven't gone down that lane for a very long time. So it should be interesting to kind of go back there with you. So
Thank
where
you.
should I start? So I grew up in a beautiful city, Pune. Okay, so my dad was in the army,
All
and
right.
yeah, so with an army background, uh, though he traveled a lot, we initially also we were in the hills. We were in a place called Chowki Bal. I don't know if you've ever heard
I'm
about that. Yeah. So
coming
my
from the background, one would hear places that nobody has heard.
correct. So we were in Chowkibal first, and then we went to Pune, and I was very small. and started my education there. And somehow my parents were very, very clear. And I think most army parents feel that way, that an education is very, very important, and your children should get a very good education. Because, experiences in the army gives you, I think, nobody else can really give you that. I mean,
Yeah,
you can be the richest person, I feel, and be the member of the biggest clubs, but the kind of experience, as army children we got, I cherish that always.
I agree completely.
Isn't it so?
Yeah.
We were in Pune, and I started my schooling there in a school called St. Helena's, and it was a
Mm-hmm.
convent school, very simple, all girls school, and because that is the way it was there at that time. Even I think it was only later that these schools adopted a co-ed. Otherwise, Pune always had a convent girls and a convent boys, and then we had those socials when we were in grade 10 and 12, and that was how it was. Very simple life, good life. I think absolute lot of freedom, lot of lot of opportunity to do a lot of things, and still in touch with my school friends. We have a group which is called the best days of our life,
Oh,
because
wow.
though
Yeah,
when you're in school, you feel that you want to go out there into the real world, but when you get out there, you realize that school is the best.
true,
And
true. I couldn't agree more with you.
And I say that to my children also, and it's only when the alumni comes back and says it that they really do believe it.
No, no. I mean, I think for me also, till I was about 30 or something, the only time I would dream of or think of are my school days. And now that my daughter says the same thing, I think it is with everyone that school time is your best time. It's
I think, and it's a very carefree kind of a time.
carefree.
Yeah, and there's so many. You are together for, and our school used to be like from 8 to 4, nearly,
Yeah,
8:30 to 3:34, and then you had sports after that. So you spent more time with your school friends than you did with anybody else.
true,
And
true.
cycling to school, and we never had school buses, and we used
Yeah,
to have our bhaiyas, who till when we were small, wo bhaiya chhod ke
like,
aate the school cycle pe, and
yeah,
and then
chaperone.
yes, and then when we were older, so that was school, very good, excellent experience. I was never a very what should I say, a very go getter kind of a person till very
Hmm.
late. I was a late bloomer, I think, because yeah, honestly, I remember, I mean, in junior school, I was just one amongst everybody and enjoying life. And it was only when I got into my grade, I think 8 or 9, I realized that I better, do something about myself. And yeah, then became the head girl of the school, and that was a good memory also. And moved on to college in Pune, the most famous or infamous Wadia College,
Okay.
and that was, and that time I decided to do commerce.
Hmm.
While my brothers, I have two brothers older to
Hmm.
me, and both of them did science, and one is a marine engineer, one is into adventure sports. And my
Hmm.
parents never questioned that choice, even at that time when it was like
Hmm.
science was the thing to do, and especially, if you were intelligent and all that, which is there even today. But I feel it was, I appreciate their broad-mindedness, that they allowed us that, okay, you do what you want to do. And
Hmm.
so I did my commerce from there. Then I did a master's in commerce from Pune University. Then I did my B.Ed. And the journey just went on. Got married, came to Delhi, then settled here. Have been in, so I live in Faridabad.
Hmm.
That also is a story, because we started off living in Delhi, but then we got this army colony in Faridabad to live in.
Ada Piachu?
Yes. So even from my husband's side of the family, everybody was from the army. My dad-in-law,
There's
mother-in-law.
something about the army, we have so many army daughters as principals or teachers or school leaders or army wives or
Yes.
anywhere you go, there's this there's something about the discipline, there's something about the openness of the army, there's something about learning to learn, there's something about the adaptability and the malleability that army
Absolutely.
throws at you. You have no
And,
choice
and also, I think,
but to adapt and learn more.
that's what I was coming to. That the when you are in the army as a child, you have so much of exposure. You're learning so much
Yeah.
all the time. Whether it be. I mean, I remember we were allowed to even play billiards when we
Yeah.
were like older. In the club. So those are the kind of things that you're always learning. There's something new to do. And so I had a double, I'll say, a double thing in my life that my dad was a mountaineer. And in
All
fact,
right.
yeah, in fact, he was part of the first successful Indian Everest expedition. He
A
was an
lot of discipline and adventure and resilience.
a lot of
Great.
all of that, a lot of fun also, a lot of fun.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. And I think that's where I always feel very connected to nature. I belong to a place called Almora, which is
Yes.
in the hills.
I
So,
know I have childhood memories from Almora.
oh, lovely.
My parents used to pack bags for 2 months. It's
Hmm.
a small home, take up a home in the cottage, and I've spent till I got married all my summers like that. And
Oh,
all our
how
cousins
lovely.
used to come up. Some
Huh.
part of the hills, Himachal or Uttarakhand or something, always was that.
How nice. So since that was home for us, every summer
Yeah.
vacation was obviously Nainital or Almora.
How
And
beautiful.
even for my son, till the time, I think till the time my parents were alive, that is what we did. Every
Mm.
summer we just, packed up the day the summer vacation started and we came back only when school reopened.
Mm.
And yeah, so it was beautiful. It was beautiful.
And I
I
think that part of our childhood memories, our childhood lessons, our childhood learning, our childhood all those things make a lot of difference in who we become, what we
absolutely,
become as parents, as teachers, as human beings. And I think I owe a lot to the army and to my parents for the way they made me who I am, the teacher I am, the person I am, the woman I am, the mother I am. uh,
absolutely, absolutely. And otherwise also, whether army or not, I personally feel parents, and I'd say this to my parents, I always tell them, I said, you are the voice in your child's head, forever. Even today, if I'm stuck somewhere, or if I'm thinking of something, or I'm not too sure about something which that my dad said or my mom said comes back to me, and
Absolutely
you feel okay, yeah, probably this is what we should do. So that voice, and I always tell parents that what you say to your child is
mm,
what that child becomes.
true.
As a small child, if you constantly say, and I don't know if you've ever noticed this, Situ, but say there are two siblings and the parents notice that, say, one is sporty and one is, let's say, more into reading and all, and they'll say, oh, मेरी बेटी तो बहुत किताबें पढ़ती है पर बेटा बहुत खेलता है, या vice versa, बेटा बहुत पढ़ता है और बेटी फुटबॉल खेलती है.
Hmm.
तो हम I have noticed that वो बच्चे बड़े हो जाते हैं और वो वही करते हैं. So many times I feel that parents should be very careful, and also positive talk. How we talk to our children. I think
Yes.
that stays with them.
There's something at Rex we talk about, and I personally do that work as well. It's called conscious, mindful parenting. And
Mm,
parenting is such a delicate, sensitive, important, integral part of our lives that you cannot go wrong even for a moment. I'm not saying
absolutely.
we don't go wrong, because as parents we do go wrong. But I think if we are conscious about the wrong that we do, then we can right every wrong. And this is one of the slug lines of Rex Karamveer as well, that right every wrong. If you can correct it, and if you can have corrective measures and not repeat it and do it, I think there lies the lesson and the learning in it. Tell me
Uh,
something. Are you an accidental teacher, or was it your calling?
So I'll say it was a bit of both. Okay.
Okay.
So again, like I told you, I moved to Faridabad. We were in this army colony, and I was quite young, and I was itching to do something. And there wasn't much that I could really do because Faridabad at that time was not that developed. So
Hmm.
suddenly we heard that there was a school opening in very close to our home, and
Hmm.
this was the DAV branch. So I have worked. I'm very happy, that I've worked with a lot of names in education that are big today, and
Right.
so that school was starting in our neighborhood. So I just walked in,
Hmm.
and spoke to the principal, very lovely lady, and she said, "Oh, you have good language skills, and that's what I'm looking for. So
Hmm.
would you, join me?" I said, "Sure, very happy to. I mean, I love children. I've always loved children, be it my
Hmm.
cousins, my nephews, my nieces. I've loved children all my life. So, I said, okay, great. Started there, and started with the elementary,
Hmm.
and just never stopped. and then I kind of just explain. And I'm a Gemini, so I think I like to
Welcome
explain.
to the club. There is more to us.
Someone to
Yeah.
Okay. So I like doing new things. So I never say no. I mean, somebody tells me do this. I said, okay, great, let's try it out. Let's do it. Kuch na kuch kar lenge. So like
Mhm.
that, I think in my journey, I've been very, very blessed that I've had experiences of teaching children right from the elementary right up to grade 12 and
Mhm.
into administration, dealing with people. And I love dealing with people. I think in general, I've always believed that it's never the brick and mortar that makes any institution. It's always the people. And I think COVID has shown us that, hasn't it?
Absolutely. The school is possible, learning is possible. Schools have reached homes. Teachers are
Absolutely.
sitting in front of the parents as well, and learning is going on in very difficult times. Um, Tell me, what are your insights on lifelong learners? Because it's something that you profess about.
Yes.
So tell us about that.
So you know what I feel? I've always felt that, and I again keep telling my teachers and my children that we are living in a age where things move very, very fast. Okay, you cannot, I mean, if you look at the last 10 to 15 years of our life, the amount of change that we have seen, be it technology, I mean, in a lifespan that if I'm 50 today, I have seen from a landline trunk call which used to take 24 hours to connect to video calls all over the world. And in fact, we hear of space calls and all those kind of things also happening. So there's so much changing. So if you're not going to be learning, if you're not going to be adaptable, you are just going to be phased out. You're going to become redundant wherever you may be. And it's not only about teachers, it's about everybody. You're just going to get phased out, and you don't want that, right? You want to be relevant. So and I think everybody can adapt. I mean, I've seen grandparents who are very good with mobiles, and they enjoy it also, and if they're ready to learn, they'll adapt. But the ones who are not will always find it difficult. Then life becomes difficult, I feel, if you're not a learner.
True.
So to make your own life easy, it's important. And see, professionally, if you ask me, so one is personally. Now
True.
professionally, as a teacher, if you are not going to be exploring, understanding what is happening in the world, your children are going to go way ahead of you, and they will not respect you. Because a child would respect a teacher who would be able to take him from one point to the next, or at least show him this, and then he can find his own points, right? But somebody who's not equipped, children today are very, very smart. And
True.
especially, I'll say, the older middle schoolers, even junior school, grade 4, 5
Yeah.
onwards, they want teachers who are adaptable and who are ready to kind of, move with them, if
With
not
them.
along them.
I would say run with them. And this is the concept at Rex Karamveer on our school program that we soft launched last year in April as well. You came in a little late. I don't know if you missed it, or we soft launched the program, which is called the International Volunteering Life Skills Scholars Program, that we are wanting to take to school. That it's not your competence that takes you forward, it's your character that takes you forward.
Yes,
And it's also this whole idea in personal and professional life, both learning to learn. If you're open to learning, only then your life will be more fulfilling, and only
absolutely.
then you will be able to adapt to your, or go in for your passion as a
Correct.
profession. Will be a person will be absolutely passionate about what you do. And we at Rex, for us, passion is not love of the Valentine's Day. For us, passion is from the Latin word passio, which means suffering, enduring. So something
Okay.
that you love and something that you're ready to learn and endure for is the way to go forward. Um,
Absolutely.
you also touched upon a point, Uttaraji, the concept of VUCA, the volatile, unpredictable, complex, and ambiguous world. It's always,
Absolutely.
but right now we're sitting in those times. And, COVID has also taught us that this is how it is. You will be thrown into
Absolutely.
hot water,
So this when it's very nice you brought this up, this VUCA world, and I have been talking to our children, the older ones especially, and to parents, addressing various let's say functions, events, and all of that, and talking about this that we need to teach our children certain skills to be able to cope with changes, which may be positive, which may not. you
True.
know, One thing I very strongly feel about it too is that, we don't teach our children how to handle failure. Okay. So what happens is they go out into the world. So suppose you are, and I'll say most children today are very good at something or the other. And at Sriram, we've always encouraged children to find that thing that makes them tick and, excel in it. So in school, all children get that recognition. And because we are let's say a very child-centric school, so we know their names, they know our names, they are into our offices. So there's a lot of connect. Now, when they go out into the real world, I had a student of mine come back and tell me that, ma'am, I walked into Mumbai, into my college, and there were 150 children sitting in that class, and I was lost because here I knew everybody, everybody knew me. I was so comfortable. School was like a home, and suddenly out there. And I told her, then how did you cope? She says, and that's when your words came back to me that go and make your own space. And I walked in, I said, they are 150, but I am one and I'll manage. And she's that girl, she did so much. She became the secretary of the media club, communications club. So, we've always trained our children to handle these things with a lot of strength of character, and we do a lot of programs. So it's not like lecture mode learning. When you expose children to, let's say, situations which are not that positive. Let's say we send them to the Akshay Patra kitchens to see how it works and how people are hungry, or we send them to villages to see how the people are surviving. We give them a lot of exposure to a lot of social work, and when they see that, and we tell them that now look at, because see, our children do come from affluent families, right? Most of them.
Yeah.
So we tell them that don't live in these glass windowed houses where you just feel this is the world. This is not the world. There is a world outside which is very different from yours, and you need to understand it and need to give back. So, when those kind of experiences children go through, I think they do develop this kind of attitude that they can handle it. And another thing that I've been talking about is, let's add to the IQ and the EQ. We talk about it so much. Two more Qs we need to teach, and not only, just talk about. One is a social quotient and one is a diversity quotient. So, when you say social quotient, and it's ironical. Uh, I used to say that children are only stuck to their machines. We need to teach them to have friends for life. We need to teach them how important relationships are. And here we went bang into COVID, where relationships have come into the forefront through technology. So
True.
it's again a wonderful kind of a mixing of the two. And
Mm.
adversity quotient, I think we definitely need to teach them to handle failure. Definitely needs to be taught through various things. Get people to speak to them. So we do that. We get a lot of people from different fields who've not been super successful, and may still not be super successful. They come and talk to the children, and they're very happy individuals leading good lives. And that's what we try to teach our children, that uh, create your own happiness, create that future that you feel you want. Don't think somebody else is going to give it to you on a platter.
True. Yeah.
Yeah.
Uttaraji, your words resonate with our school program that I was talking about,
Yeah.
because we began with failure and we began with death, because these two are the most beautiful realities of life and the most beautiful learnings of life.
I agree
Because
totally.
if you've not failed, then you've not done anything, and we need to untaboo it. We need to unbox these two things, and it has been proven that um, you're truly happy when you know that life is finite.
Mhm.
You're going to go away. That's the only time you have, and then in that finite time you need to do what you need to do. You may fail, You may not learn, you may break down, but you can break through, because that's the inner tenacity and resilience. We also speak about vulnerability.
Yes.
That vulnerability is that striker, is that trigger that unleashes three mindsets, seven virtues, and 24 powers to continuously keep learning and evolving and bettering yourself. So that's the premise of the program in nutshell, that we had launched, and we are ready to take it to the schools once they open up,
That'll be
because these
wonderful.
times have
Very
also.
good. Much required, I feel. Much required.
Yeah.
Vulnerability. Now that's also a very interesting concept that somewhere I think we've forgotten. But if you go back to our, let's say our own stories, our own mythology, our own history, you do realize that there are many things where vulnerability is accepted. But
Absolutely.
today in this whole thing of that perfect Instagram picture, which showcases you as the perfect life with all the filters there, I feel somewhere we are losing it, and we want to present that everything in our lives is just picture perfect, and inside we are crying. So we need to come out there, and it's so I'm one of those people, I cry at every school function. You will be surprised
I'm
to
not surprised at all.
so it's a joke among my staff. If you come to school, they say that, if it's a form morning and if Uttara ma'am is teary eyed, that means it's a hit, and it's hit the right chords. That's the rehearsal.
I recognize with, I'm famous for.
Okay. So
So it's.
I don't hold it back. I never hold it back because I'm not, I always tell the children, okay, I may be the head of your school, but I'm not perfect. And if I feel like my emotions are, like kind of getting above me, it's all right. I accept it. I mean, what's wrong with that? You need to understand that this is a
Tears
human.
are courage to
Yeah,
even show them. It's courage
I don't know.
to be able to express emotion. Is just an emotion,
Yeah. And I think as role models,
and it's heightened emotion. So uh,
sorry, like sometimes we are told that you are the role models for your children and all of that. I always tell them, I said, listen, they need some realistic role models. They don't need people sitting in offices who are closed up and they believe, those old time days of school principals being, somewhere there and everybody getting scared and all. Gone are those days. Please, let's reach
yeah,
out. Let's meet our children.
even the
Uh,
staff also used to be scared.
they used to be scared. Thankfully, I've broken that taboo, I hope. And I'm sure, I don't hope, I'm pretty sure, because I think we share a beautiful relationship with our staff in all our schools. I mean, Shriram schools are known, for, I
I
think, this kind
agree.
of an environment where we,
Yeah,
we respect everybody for what they do. It's not about hierarchy. There's no hierarchy. It's a flat organization. We all do our
lovely.
job.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you talk about vulnerability. You talk about, social quotient. You talk about adversity quotient, because we at Rex talk about that vulnerability is a power which can unleash super powers within you, because only when you realize that you can be vulnerable and then have the tenacity and power to break through those times. I'm wanting to ask you about the social quotient, and the times that we are sitting right now, and as I speak to you, what's happening around us, especially with the farmers, as I speak to you today, and what's happening with women in our country, what's happening with the migrants or poor people. Poor people are affected. You and I have not been affected at all. uh, so
Absolutely.
so these are the things, these are the life skills, these are the challenges, these are the adversities which are beyond the school walls. And if the child is able to empathize and have very high, emotional quotient or social quotient, as you thought, then he will be a giver. And
Absolutely.
teachers would, and schools then truly are the transformers and awakeners and
But
reformers.
that's exactly it. These are conversations we need to have in our classrooms. We
True.
cannot, we can. So I'll tell you. So definitely the farmers, the migrant issue. We have tried to deal with all of this at an age appropriate level. It's not something that you can just turn it into a mixie and push it
Absolutely.
through the school. It has to go
Yeah.
where it is age appropriate. So
Yeah.
we do programs in our school called contemporary studies, We pick up issues that are recent, that are current, that could be that could leave children thinking, and bring them into our system, and get that moving. So
Hmm.
it's I think it's working very, very well for us,
Hmm.
and we definitely want these conversations to happen. And
Hmm.
we've had, so like I said, we get a lot of people to talk to our children,
Hmm.
so whether it be from the LGBT community, whether it be women, like strong women. So, and
Hmm.
this I mean, COVID has really opened up the online world. We've got people from across the world coming in. So we had a wonderful girl who came in, a youngster who came in and
Hmm.
spoke about body issues.
Yeah.
How facing weight, and those problems, and how she went into all this fasting and all the all those fads, and
Hmm.
how she came out of it. So I
Hmm.
feel when children see real people their age, especially,
Special.
talking about it, they feel that, okay, that gives me a space to talk about it if I'm having this problem. So that I feel, as schools, it's a moral responsibility we have to kind of teach our children. And even if we can't teach, let's just talk about it.
Yeah.
Even talking about it opens up avenues where children then go and explore. They start talking. So I have a fantastic group of middle schoolers going into senior school. They've started a club. Okay,
Hmm.
it's called Girl Up Janki. Go check it out. It's fantastic.
Hmm.
And they are doing programs independently. I have a teacher mentor with them, and they
Hmm.
are they are running it beautifully. And they
Hmm.
invite the students. So students for students works, I think, absolutely beautifully.
Yeah.
When they
And I
connect.
think to add to that is also, when the environment in the school or environment in any organization is of openness, of vulnerability, and teacher is able to not stand on this side of the classroom but go into the with the students and say, yes, hey, I dealt with this as well. Hey,
Correct.
when I was your age, I did this. Hey, I also failed. Hey, I was not good at it as I may seem right now because I'm teaching you. That
Absolutely.
that whole connect happens, and that connection, that learning never fails. And I have experienced that personally as a mother and as a teacher. And I think that works so beautifully well that students say, hey, the teacher that we thought is perfect is someone just
Human.
like, it's just that she's older than us or something, but she's gone through it and she knows it. And
Absolutely.
that would be the teacher whose students would be doing the best.
So, that's something that I am very, very proud of, that across our schools,
Hmm.
so, when we hire, people ask us, how do you hire teachers? What is your,
Hmm.
because we are known for our faculty. We are known for, at Srinam, I think the faculty is something that we're very, very proud of.
Yes.
And I always say that, like you said, go with your instinct, go with your gut. And we always look at a teacher's attitude, that
Hmm.
what is the attitude she's carrying. I'm not
Hmm.
hurt. Everybody has the degrees and the all the B.Eds and the masters and the PhDs, and they all, that's something that you have so many people who are very well qualified. But
Hmm.
what is it that we want in our teachers? So that is where the attitude comes in. So that's what we look at. And we've touched wood. I think we've been very, very successful. And we keep training them. We keep giving them that exposure. And again, in COVID, I think the first 6 months have just been training. And I sometimes feel we are getting into a fatigue now, but
Hmm.
still, I'll say still the teachers have been very, very positive about it. And I think appreciation, no? When you appreciate somebody for what they do, and they feel good, and really, when you feel good about something, you want to do more of it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think that if you get that equation in the classrooms where teachers feel good about what they're doing, children feel good about what they're doing, the magic just automatically kind of happens.
True. So important to have that humaneness in the profession, and then that humaneness percolates and permeates and reaches the teachers, and then it reaches the students, and it from the student it goes back to the parents, and then it again comes back because there's this holy trinity as well. No, what we call it, right? The holy trinity: the school, the parents, and the teacher.
Absolutely.
It this holy trinity has to work in
We,
tandem.
we call it the three-way handshake in our schools.
Okay.
And again, at many times I've had so many parents who've come back and told me that,
Hmm.
ma'am, our lives have changed. Ever since
Hmm.
our children are in your school, we've
Hmm.
we've undergone schooling in a different way. We see the way these children are,
Hmm.
doing things, and we have changed a lot of things. We've started thinking differently, and we
True.
do realize that we have a responsibility, because again, Itu, when we were growing up, probably the environment was not in such a state that it needed so much of attention. Okay.
Yeah.
And we were never in school probably taught the way we teach our children today, because we've reached that stage where we cannot afford not to do that, right? So parents will tell us that, ma'am, like our children are taught no showers, right? Bucket baths. So
Yes.
I have nursery parents who've come back and told me, ma'am, it's so embarrassing. My son is sitting outside and listening that, Papa, do you have the shower on?
How beautiful. How nice.
I said, then we are doing our jobs right.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, Uttaraji, you touched upon something that, degrees and all of that don't make you. And we at Rex talk about this through and through. And, we're launching the Mills program also for young students. And we've taken in fold the 11th and the 12th class students, and the mails would have reached you, where we're talking about, it's called Mills. It's an acronym for Mojosh Inspirator Leadership Learning to Learn Success Summit, which means to say that, in these times that we are sitting, 70% of people have lost their jobs.
Yes.
Students who are passing out probably will never get to find a job. Students may not get to intern. But in these times, which are so challenging, if the child has that inner resilience, if the child has character that we talk of, the roots are strong, then the child will be able to bloom even in these times, and will be able to break through and bring out something so innovative and creative and create. And probably the parents also are creating new things and new avenues. So important to be sensitive about that. It's your character that takes you forward, not your competence. Because I don't know if somebody has asked you how many marks did you get in your 10th, how many
Never.
marks did you do in your B.Ed, M.Ed, M.Phil. Nobody asked me.
Nobody.
I mean, even if you talk about your degree, you feel like a stupid person talking about it,
Yeah.
because it's not that
Absolutely.
mattered. It was just a stepping stone. I'm not saying it's not important. It's a stepping stone, but what did you make of it?
Absolutely. Absolutely. What did you make of it? And also, I think a lot of times, whenever I think back to my life, I realize that it was those challenges that came my way that taught me the most.
Absolutely.
Whether it was I came in as a teacher when I started the Shriram Millennium School, and the first thing I was thrown into was infrastructure and building, something I had never done. Right, as a teacher, I mean, you don't do that, right? And even as an administrator, as a vice principal in another school, you don't really get into that part of the school. You're more into the academics. But when you take on as a principal, then everything falls into your platter, and it was not easy but it was a great learning. And I'm so proud that I just went head on into it. And it was a completely different field, and I feel today I feel very empowered when I can catch hold of my admin guy and tell him this tile doesn't look right, or this ye pathar theek nahi hai, ya ye grouting theek nahi hai.
It was a learning.
It was a learning. And I think it's important to just take it in your stride, to not say no to learning, to even if it takes more from you than you may feel you're capable of, because sometimes I think we don't ourselves know our own strengths.
True.
When we experience it, when we rise up to challenges, you feel, okay, I didn't know I could do this. So I think it's important to keep challenging yourself also as we grow. So that's also a part of being a lifelong learner.
Yeah, and also if you failed, you still would have learned something for sure.
Absolutely. Yeah,
And
yeah.
that culture of failure, has to be also incorporated. And we need to talk about that a lot. We need to say it's okay to fail, say it's okay to be fine. So, Uttaraji, I'm wanting to ask, in these times that we are sitting right now, what is most challenging in education? What is it that you find most challenging?
So I think the most challenging thing really is to try and connect, because the education is about connections. Learning is always about being connected with the learner. I mean, distance learning is all right, but it doesn't have the impact that you have when you can see the body language of your children, you can connect with them, and plus there's a lot that you get back in terms of when they come and they hug you or they talk to you, or just those candid corridor conversations, the cup of tea in the staff room, sometimes having just a meeting, and that loud laughter that comes through when suddenly everybody has found something. So I think those are the things that everybody is really missing. And what's happening is something I've realized, and I actually went and read up on it, that why are we so tired after a day of online? Even if it's, say, if a school was, I was leaving at 7 and reaching home at 7, I was never so tired as if I'm online at, say, 8:39 and I wind up by 4, 5. I'm absolutely exhausted. What is it that's exhausting us? And what I figured out is what is exhausting us is that we are trying not only to figure out whether I'm getting across to you, I'm sitting here trying to understand your body language, trying to understand what is it that you feel, all of that through a screen, which I think takes away a lot of energy. And for teachers, I feel that is becoming, it is not that easy to do it, though hats off to all the teachers in the world who the way they've kind of coped and brought it on. The parents also, even
It's
sure.
a constant dopamine hit. It's a
Huh,
constant dopamine hit, and that constant dopamine hit is having its negative effect as well. Like the social media has, like every like you get,
yeah.
every time your Instagram throws up something, or your social media throws up, and your Facebook. And same is happening on the Zoom. You're like constant because you're looking. Am I looking fine? Yeah. Is it that person looking? Is it saying something? Is it?
Huh,
And also wanting to convince yourself and the other person.
absolutely.
In the classroom there must be so many students and the teacher striving to connect to each one of them.
So when you're in a physical space, it's very easy because
Yeah.
because your entire, I'll say, all your sense organs are engaged, and
True.
you know your children, you know your spaces, and also, if suppose you've had a bad day, you have people to fall back on. And somewhere I think that differentiation between a home space and a workspace gives a lot of
Good
I've
space.
always felt, and a lot of teachers tell me, ma'am, we walk into the gate and we just shrug out our problems and we are here, have a
Yes.
happy day, go back, feeling good, energized, and we can handle those. Now you're at home constantly, and also, this whole fear, this whole fear that what will happen, what is COVID going to lead us to, the fear of the unknown to some extent. When will we go back to work? When will things normalize? When will I be able to just normally organize a party or travel or do anything? I think while being busy, having work to do is the biggest blessing today. If you can kind of get your time has passed, we are nearly into the end of the year, all that is good. But somewhere I think we're just getting into that cycle of fatigue now, and
Yes.
we should just pray. And I always feel the power of collective prayer is very, very strong. And let us just hope and pray for better times.
Yeah. Like you said, the schools are missing the students are missing the school, the teachers are missing the human touch. And
Absolutely.
I really feel for the students as well, because school meant just going to school, talking to your friends, being in the playground, being in the corridor, that look at a friend, that
Absolutely.
just peeping across the class, or the teacher calling your name, or those little things. The students must be missing out so much, and I think they've been told to coop up in the room and do the things, and it's going to go down the history. I think they're going to tell their grandchildren about
Absolutely.
when we were young, I was in school, COVID happened. But these are difficult times, very difficult times for
And I feel
everyone,
really,
students and children. I feel the most.
absolutely, absolutely. And I feel very, very bad for the passing out batch, because this
Yeah,
is their last year,
so
and
many things to
there's
be done.
so many, I mean, so many celebrations,
Literally.
Teachers' Day, graduation, everything. The last year is very, very special. And
Yeah.
so I have promised them that wherever you may be next year, you can come back and join in and be a part of the celebrations. Whichever day, whenever you want, you can just come in and we'll just be happy to have you back. So
Mhm.
yes, it's very difficult for the children, and they have, again, I'll say, they've been very, very good about it. They've been very supportive. If the students will not support the teachers, then the teachers can't get anything going, right? So it's a two-way thing, and children have been some things, I'll say, have also worked out well, because some children have told me that, ma'am, this kind of learning is working out very well for me. I'm more, I concentrate better, I do better. So some of it is good, which we should carry forward. I'll say it. We can't just, not take forward this learning.
Yeah.
We must. The good
We
things
must.
about e-learning, we must take back into schools. But
Mm-hmm.
yes, nothing can replace, I think, that whole. I think, in a school, there's so much of, with so many people, the energies are there. And I think
Yeah.
you just kind of get that. And I'm a person who believes a lot in vibes and energies. So I personally feel that, it's very, very important that we get back soon.
Yeah, that human element and the human connect can never, never be replaced by virtual classes, virtual calls, virtual lessons. It can never be. And we will have to take some learnings from the new normal, but
Yes,
waiting for the good normal to come back. Uh,
absolutely.
Uttaraji, I am wanting to know that, in these COVID times, your school does a lot of work in bettering the society, in giving back to the society. What are some of the learnings which are carrying on even in these times, and students are still contributing, learning, doing in a new innovative way in these times? Share something on that.
When we started off initially, everything was like, how will we do this? How will we do this? How will we do this? How will this happen?
Yeah.
Obviously, it was new for everybody.
Hmm.
But then we realized that children and parents, parents have a huge hand to play in this year of whatever learning has happened. And
True.
I got to know children are actually, there was a roti bank initiative in Noida, where there were rotis being collected and being given and distributed. So I had parents who sent us the videos, छोटे छोटे बच्चे roti बना रहे हैं घर पे, helping the parents do that. Then they did a lot of fundraising. They did a lot of
Hmm.
crowdfunding.
Crowdfunding.
Have been doing that. So they again got into it. So from home, children have been trying to, reach out, to understand, to
Hmm.
give back whatever possible. I had for Diwali, I had some students who went up to the guards of the society, gave them mithai. छोटी
Hmm.
छोटी चीजें बच्चे करते हैं. Then environment, we अब normally वन महोत्सव and all, हम लोग बच्चों को plants देते हैं स्कूल से, या we tell them to plant a tree somewhere and all.
Hmm.
So this time now, where do you get it? Now the problem is resources. So we said
True.
mango season. So Madhu ma'am is our environment
I
champion.
Yes.
So she said आम है सबके घर में, सब बच्चे आम का पेड़ लगाएंगे. And it was, yeah, why not?
Yeah.
So, things like that. We tried to make our children give back in whatever possible way. You
Hmm.
won't believe it. We've celebrated Joy of Giving Week
Hmm.
through activities. So,
Hmm.
things like filling the bucket of every child. So
Hmm.
it was done online. It was done through a Padlet activity. So it was
Hmm.
brought into a different mode where
Hmm.
children in school would actually on their soft board write good things about each other. Here
Hmm.
the teachers had a Padlet and everybody wrote what they felt
Hmm.
about different friends of theirs.
Hmm.
That's also, in a way, you're reaching out and making people feel good, and there's that whole kindness element involved. We told them, be kind to your parents, do
Hmm.
some cleaning. So we again have a program called Shri Sparkle, which is
Hmm.
cleaning up. Okay.
Hmm.
So we run that periodically, that, okay, have you cleaned your spaces? Have you done that? So I think just to have children connect
Hmm.
to anything where they feel they are contributing. What is
Contributing.
society to? Society for a small child, or even for all of us today, is our home. I think if
Hmm.
we can all be tolerant and make our homes comfortable, it starts there.
Yeah.
Then we go out into the next, into the next, into the next, right? So that's the way we've been trying to get across to children and do a lot of things, and it's been going very, very well. We also run an EQ program which talks about emotional understanding of self. So that is also going very well. Ashri Sayog is going very well. So somehow we've managed to do a lot of things online, which we never thought was possible in April. But I think we are also evolving as we go.
It's been really heartwarming to hear that from most school leaders, how wonderfully things are going on, how they've adapted to it, and the joy of giving, and also to be contributors, children to be contributors. And I think this element of learning has to be imbibed and spoken about, and action needs to be taken, that not just talks but ideas for action. This is one of our direct
Absolutely.
line. Not just talks but ideas for action. What action are you doing? And I'd like to share with you and everyone here that yesterday only we launched the K Sara Sara song,
Yes, I
which you
saw
were
that.
talking about.
Yeah.
There we are talking about that, the narrative has to change, the dialogue has to change, that you don't have to be pretty just and handsome and have a great life. You've got to be a contributor, you've got to be a reformer, you've got to give back to the society. And
Absolutely.
that's why, bring meaning to life, and bring meaningness to life of others as well. That was one. And also we launched one more award, two awards
Mhm.
rather,
Yes, I
yesterday.
read that.
People.
Yes.
So that was Rex Karamveer, Bhagat Singh, missionary passiopreneur Bhagat Singh Puraskar, Karamveer Puraskar, and Rex Karamveer, missionary passiopreneur Abadi Bano Begum Karamveer Puraskar. So this is for men and women category. So the first award has gone to a boy, a young man who's doing studying at AIMS to be a doctor, but he says, I don't want to be a doctor. I want to work in public health. And I would want to do something that would make the world a better place, so that, in the times of pandemic or things like this, because this is the way it is going to be now. You know, I would be a solution maker rather than earn when I become a doctor. And he's already doing a lot of program as a
How
volunteer,
nice. How
and he
wonderful.
comes from a very, very humble background. So Mamoon Rashid is the boy, and the girl is Garima Lunia. She is doing a lot of work for environment,
Oh,
and
lovely.
she's gone through learnings where she has sat down in a railway station to get a good internet to be able to do her work, and also did a lot of environment studies in these times to be an environment leader. So these are the kind of people we're looking for. And two awards in this category. These were the Founders Council of Founders award that we chose, but two categories are still vacant, and that is going to be Popular Choice Awards.
Okay,
So,
nice.
so we're going to put up the criteria, and
Okay.
we are going to find people who, students who are doing work, who could contribute to this program that we are doing, who could who could showcase what work they are doing. And we have 4 5 criteria which we'll share also. So those two are still open, and that's why I'm talking about it. You
Wonderful.
could still be part of it. So here, as you said, you and I talked about that, to be a contributor, are you doing something to leave a legacy behind? Each one of us, to make the world a little better than what we came into. Imagine if 7.5 billion people had this mindset, that let's make the universe world a little better than what we came into. And if schools are doing that contribution as well to impart that, how beautiful it can be. It
So, you
really can.
know, we need to change the whole approach of recognition, I feel, you know. So
Yeah.
instead of recognizing the children who are very successful, let's say, so normally a person, we say very successful, a lot of money, a big position, why are those people considered to be very successful? I think a person, a normal middle class person who's happily leading a normal life and taking care of his family is very successful. Why don't we celebrate those people? I don't
True.
know. Why don't we celebrate, like you said, somebody who's wanting to give back to society? Those are the people. So I think somewhere we need to change the role
Absolutely.
models,
Yeah.
and I hope that there is awareness. We do need
Yes.
let's
Cricketers and actors and politicians are
Oh,
not
so
worthy
among
of
them,
doing.
if among them, if there is somebody who's doing
Yes,
something,
that's
yes,
good.
why not? But we should not just make just because they're glad. the glamour has to go out, I feel,
Yeah.
and the reality has to come back.
Yeah. And that is why at Rex we celebrate unsung heroes. These are
Yes,
people
I know.
who nobody knows about, but they're doing some stellar, brilliant work that needs to be imbued, that needs to be the learning, and that needs to be replicated and adopted, because that's
Absolutely.
what real learning is all about. And we're also calling them missionary passionpreneur. Again, you have to
Okay.
have a mission for your passion to make it into your profession. That is why missionary
Okay.
passionpreneur, that's the word we have coined.
Very nice.
And we've also taken Abadi Bano Begum, who was a freedom fighter, has never been to school, and also for the fact that a Muslim woman led a, so this country has to be inclusive. This country has to
Absolutely.
be egalitarian. This country thrives on being diverse, and
Absolutely.
we need to celebrate each one of them, no matter what religion. And we need to, um, break these shackles
I think,
that
you know,
are
we,
being built.
the day we start making our diversity our strength, I think
Yeah.
that is the day we talk about India becoming a superpower and being so important and, you know, doing
Mm,
so well and all of that, and India
mm,
shining and all of that. Somewhere
mm.
I think from these phrases and these words, if we really, and I think the start points are schools, because when you
Absolutely.
catch them young and when you actually start the mindset, you know, change, if it happens when children are young, they will always carry it for their life. But
Yeah.
if you try to, you know, yes, people change when they go to college, people change at work. Those are changes that happen to you because, yes, you choose to change and you're given that exposure. But in school, I feel when you, somewhere you do believe as a student that, you know, whatever I'm being taught is right, is the correct thing, you know. And by the time you reach, let's say, senior school or middle school, and you're taught to now have your own opinions and have a viewpoint and all, at least you'll be more tolerant. You know,
True.
you can have a viewpoint, you can have, absolutely must have an opinion, you must think about things differently, but you must also be tolerant and respect that somebody else could think differently from you, and is absolutely correct in their own choices. I
Yeah.
think that is something we all need to work on.
Secular inclusiveness.
Absolutely. And we as schools make it a point to do this.
Yeah.
We
It's so important.
absolutely very important.
No marks, nothing else is as important as this shift in the mindset, which is at threat in the times that we are sitting. It's a huge threat.
I must tell you, I must share with you this whole thing on gender. You know, so we have, like, you know, somewhere in our mindsets, we have these things, girls and boys and girls and boys. So there was one function happening, and I saw that Jhansi ki Rani लड़ रही हैं उसमें, और उनके पीछे जितने भी बच्चे डांस कर रहे हैं, they're all boys.
Hmm.
Okay, boys have been chosen for that dance. So
Hmm.
after the function, I asked my dance teacher, I said, Beta, why did you not have girls in that dance?
Hmm.
So I said, झांसी की रानी अगर खुद एक औरत होके जब लड़ रही थी, आई एम श्योर उनकी, हमने पढ़ा भी, उनकी आर्मी मिक्स थी, लड़कियों को भी उन्होंने इनकरेज किया था.
Hmm.
तो शी सेज, मैम मैंने ऐसा सोचा ही नहीं, मुझे लगा वॉर है तो लड़कों का डांस होगा, और जो वो थोड़े वैसे वाले हैं तो लड़कियों को ले लेते हैं, क्योंकि लड़कों को सिखाना थोड़ा मुश्किल होता है. I
Hmm.
said, forget it. And you know, we broke that taboo. The next
Hmm.
morning we had was middle school, six,
Hmm.
7, 8 together.
Hmm.
And we went and we told the boys that all the boys who want to do the Bharatnatyam and the Indian classical dances, we would like to teach you and all of that. So, you know,
Hmm.
initially that thinking, nahi, nahi, ma'am, we'll do the other dances, the jazz and all, wo kaun pehnega and all. So I've literally had a talk with them. I said, you know, you cannot even imagine. You just, you know, imagine that form morning and you people coming on in your costumes and dancing, and you will get a standing ovation. I promise you this. Really, ma'am. And we got volunteers. Anitu, you won't believe it. Absolute packed auditorium. Everybody stood up the minute these bare-chested middle schoolers came in their Bharatnatyam, and they did it. And then
Hmm.
you know, 2 3 other dance forms the children did, and it was boys and girls mixed. And now it's become accepted, and now they want to, because they
Yeah.
feel, oh wow, you know, we've got so much of attention. So you
Hmm.
need to break these gender norms also, I feel.
Yeah. And school play a Very important. Of course, the home plays a very important role in the school. And I think, as you said, that school can monitor what the child is doing. And if the child can sit outside the parent's bathroom to see if the parent is having the bucket bath or the shower. So
Yeah.
I think if this right message is sent out, the
Yes,
children, as they say, the child is the father of the man and the woman. They
absolutely.
would absolutely, this thing has to come in. My last final intrigue and talk with you is going to be on a very important, pertinent subject, which is, which is a bigger pandemic. A very huge, big pandemic has been looming on our head of the mental health.
Mental health.
And in the COVID times, that came to a forefront that, we are not only dealing with all this, especially the students, the young children are dealing with mental health, and there have been cases of suicides with very
Yes.
young people. And this is something that needs to be addressed um, with more force and gusto, and with
Absolutely.
more interventions need to be done from everyone as a society. And so what's your take on that? What are your views on that as a school leader? And what are
So,
some things that are happening at your end?
so it, mental health is something that has been very, very important for us right from the beginning. It's not something
Mm,
that we are looking at now, right?
right.
Because we do understand that children are going through various stresses in
Mm,
life, which are here to stay. So, whether it could be families breaking up, it could be single parent families, it could
mm,
be the loss of a loved one, it could even be transfers, a parent moved out or
mm,
working somewhere else. So we've
mm,
had these cases come up in school wherever, and we have our school counselors who are always, always available, and
mm,
again, very approachable. Okay,
mm,
very approachable, very down to earth, and mixing amongst the children at all times. And we send them into classes to do programs, to just talk to the children, so that the children know that there is somebody here who I can connect. Along with that, we train all our teachers to,
mm,
observe, to watch, to look out for these things, and also to be available for the children. And like
mm,
again, I cannot thank my staff enough. They talk to the children have been, sharing things with us which many a times they are not able to share at home. And it's sometimes it's no fault of the parents.
mm,
Parents are also there, but kai baar hota hai ki you are not able to, tell your parent a certain thing because of the fear that they will get very worried,
yeah.
or or they will take it wrongly. So I feel the school has to be a very, very safe space where
Mm,
children can communicate, and they, as adults, we are also very observant. Plus, I feel a very strong and effective student body is very important.
mm,
The student council. So
mm,
because what happens is the student council, they are the role models in the school, right? Children look up to them. So when the
mm,
student council reaches out, does has meetings, talks to the children, and comes back to the teachers and to us with
mm,
solutions and also with problems. So we have regular meetings with our student council heads,
mm,
and school physically, yes, a lot more. And there again, you don't need a meeting. I mean, you're walking the corridor and you meet somebody and they tell you, ma'am, ye nahi ho raha, ye theek nahi hai, we need to change this. And you just kind of start thinking about it and bringing in changes.
yeah.
So we have really brought in a lot of positive things in school uh, that came from the children, the suggestions, you know.
Mm,
So I think a few of these things have worked very well for us. Having good counselors, having teachers who are trained and who are available. Again, a good
mm,
student council that connects, that also trusts the teachers, that yes, if we go back, it's not going to be taken in a wrong way.
mm,
And I think, touch wood, I mean, we managed to handle this, and we have to keep working on it. I mean, this is not something, the pandemic has just raised this. I think it's always
yeah.
been there. It's always been there. And now, when the children come back,
Mm,
to school, I think that is when, just don't go back. मुझे syllabus खत्म करना है, हमारा ये रह गया, हमारा practicals नहीं हुआ, हमने बच्चों को feel नहीं दिया. No, let's do it slowly. I was
yeah.
talking to my team. I said the first 3, 4 days, maybe a week, just sit and talk to the children.
Yeah.
Don't teach. We'll teach later.
Yeah.
Just talk, hear them out. Maybe they haven't had anybody to talk to the way they would want to when they come back to school. So I think the next year or two is going to be even more crucial.
heal.
watch, yes, to heal,
Yeah,
to watch, to provide that space, also to reteach
re-
some skills. They may have forgotten certain skills, I feel.
yeah, yeah.
To
And I
reteach.
think empathy, kindness, and compassion are the key notes of the
Absolutely.
time. They
Absolutely. So, we run a program again in our schools. We pick up one thing every year. So, like 1 year we did kindness. Okay. So we have a kindness calendar, and we give a table calendar to each parent, which has activities for the month, and these are done in school and activities for parents and certain days where you have to look into things, and so the habit is inculcated right from our pre-nursery right up to grade 12.
mm,
Year we had picked up mindfulness, and
yeah.
we are doing it online. So we have mindfulness sessions. We have, after a few periods, there's a break. We used to do the gong in school. You're a parent, I'm sure you're familiar with these words. So, we do the gong time in school where the whole school just kind of quietens down. So I feel these are practices that we must, we have to teach children these skills of coping also.
Absolutely.
It's very easy to say meditation करो. कोई बच्चा meditation कैसे कर सकता है? आपको उसको actually उसके लिए वो एक environment बनाना पड़ेगा. You know,
Absolutely.
otherwise it's a child is very restless. Adults are very restless. Forget about children. So we
Absolutely.
we are we are working on it, and I'm happy. I'm happy the way it's moving, and
The
but
attention
it
span has come down to 3 seconds.
absolutely.
So that's how it is. So it's been wonderful, wonderful, candid, cool, crucial conversation, as we call it,
Yes,
Rex, with you. We're missing having Jerry with us today.
absolutely. I'm missing him too.
Yes,
It's always wonderful to interact with Jerry. So maybe
he
another
gets
time.
that learning energy and more insights and mm,
Yes.
provocation therapy, as we call it. He gets it in the forum. Any last words from you before we wind up for the evening?
So I would just like to say that it was wonderful talking to you. You people are doing such great work. More power to you. And I just hope that we have more such organizations and more people across the world where
We are because of all of you and your love and your association and collaboration
you
with all of
you're hitting the right things. You're not talking. You are changing the conversation. I think, and that is what impacts a society, right? Where you have people who are changing the conversation. We as schools have always tried to do that. I mean, as a school, I know for a fact right from the beginning we did things differently because we believed they were correct, and we will continue to do that. I mean, Sriram Millennium School and the Sriram schools, we have been known. I mean, that's our culture, right? That's what we were taught. Like when Mrs. Bharatram started the schools, I've heard the stories of how Vasant Vihar started. Manika ma'am always talks to us about it. That it was she wanted to have happy schools. Children have to want to come to school. School can't be a place where you say, "Oh, I don't want to go to school. Let me get back into my blanket." So that's the kind of environment I feel that we need to create. Where happiness is not a commodity. Happiness is just us.
yeah,
We should be happy beings. we have
true.
a we have a expiry date, like you rightly pointed out, and we have a finite journey. So let's
Right,
make the best of it. Let's make the most of it, and leave a legacy behind where people remember you with fondness. And you've changed something for somebody, even one person. I think if you impact and change in your life, that's fantastic. And we are
right.
lucky. I think teachers impact so many, isn't it, Itu? Teachers.
Absolutely, and that's been our endeavor from last 17 years at Rex Karamveer, and of course our foray into schools. I mean, Jerry has always been with the schools. I come from education background. We've always been striving to do it, but now we've come out with these concrete initiatives. And you must pay heed to the mail on the mills. Get
I
your
will.
students to come
I
out
will.
to be part of this. It's going to be online. We're trying to get mentored in residence from over 25 countries who would talk to students about their own life lessons and learnings and
Oh,
you
nice.
know
Okay.
being a missionary passepreneur. So it's going to be very beautiful learning as well as morale boosting, as we say,
Definitely.
to learn. So I
Definitely.
yeah.
We will,
And
we will, try and get some children working with you,
yeah,
because, like I said, you're doing great work. My compliments to Jerry. He trained a lot of my teachers. I must tell you that.
I am aware of that. Yes.
Yes, and it was a wonderful training, and I think that has also stayed with us.
Yeah.
And please convey my regards. Missed him today.
Certainly.
Missed all his questions, and
Yes.
maybe another time.
Yes, we're going to have you another time and another conversation. And thank you so much. It was brilliant, brilliant, talking to you and knowing so much more about you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
so much.
Namaskar. Thank you.